Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, COVID transmission high in the workplace. The latest from the Ministry of Health. Meanwhile, the Minister of Health says no one will be forced to get the COVID vaccine. Plus, a young roadside preacher fined for not wearing his mask.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. The Bahamas recorded more COVID-19 cases per capita in the past 2 weeks than the large majority of countries across the globe, according to Our World and data from the University of Oxford. And as the country moves forward with plans to remove the mandatory 14-day quarantine within less than a month, the Ministry of Health continues to notice a consistent high number of positive cases, with spread occurring mostly on the job.
41% of persons, as is on the slide, infected with COVID-19 have reported their exposure to have occurred in the workplace or a mass gathering setting.
With over 4,200 confirmed cases, the Bahamas is ranked as having the 11th highest rate in the world of new cases per million people in the past 2 weeks. During a press conference today, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Pearl McMillan explained that there is still a steady trend of positive cases being confirmed daily, particularly in New Providence, where she says 1 in every 100 residents have been infected with COVID-19.
The Hill curve suggests that the number of new cases in New Providence will continue to increase and follow the projected path. This interpretation is troubling.
McMillan says if measures are not strengthened, New Providence will continue to see an increase in cases. But even with those numbers, government has announced plans to discontinue the mandatory 14-day quarantine for those coming into the country by November 1st. Health Minister Remington Wells says government is trying to strike a balance between concerns of health officials and what is needed for the economy.
How we look at opening our economy, how we address the concerns of our people, and we come up with one holistic policy that is instituted. The Prime Minister speaks to it, the Cabinet Minister speaks to it. And so we are weighing in the balance all of those issues for the life, health, and well-being of the Bahamian people. You know, dead persons can't spend money.
96 people in country have died as a result of the virus, with 15 pending. Wells says while that number appears high, the case fatality ratio isn't.
Whilst the Bahamas has experienced a higher number of deaths in this second wave, case fatality ratio, which estimates the portions of death among identified cases, fits into the range of the global case fatality rate by country, which stands between 0.1% to 25%. Again, our rate is 2.27%.
During the press conference, health officials were asked about plans to implement rapid or antigen testing for people upon arrival in the country, seeing that they're already coming in with RT-PCR test results. We also asked what happens if someone comes in and tests positive upon landing.
To determine whether or not during that window of between the real-time PCR and when you actually get here, your status may have changed. You may have been in an incubation period. So it strengthens the whole likelihood that we will know whether or not a person is positive. Now, my understanding is there will be measures in place to deal with persons if they do test positive.
During the press conference, it was also revealed that the government is no longer using the Breezes Hotel as a facility to house patients under investigation. When asked about it today, the chief medical officer did not say why.
To my knowledge, no. And Minister is confirming that Breezes is no longer being used.
Well, after months of being out of work, the 29 junior doctors are set to return to work as early as this Monday as senior house officers, according to Health Minister Remington Wells.
29 physicians, senior house officers are in the process of being hired. 20 will be deployed at the Princess Margaret Hospital, 4 in the Department of Public Health, 3 at the Sandlands Rehabilitation Center, and 2 in Freeport, Grand Bahama. We expect many will report for duty as soon as Monday.
Now, as it relates to nurses, Wells said 2 more have been hired and 3 are in the process of hiring. He said while those numbers seem small, they matter, adding that dozens more are expected to join the system soon.
71 Bahamian nursing students are to take the exam in the first week of November. The exam will be administered by the Nursing Council. Those successful candidates will be added to the nursing complement of the Ministry of Health. We will also seek to recruit 100 nurses from abroad to assist our local effort.
Well, as speculation grows over the distribution of a COVID-19 vaccine once one becomes available and whether it will be mandatory for Bahamians to get the vaccine, Health Minister Ranwood Wells says that won't be the case. He said government has put down a down payment of $250,000 to be able to source the vaccine to the Pan American Health Organization.
No matter what vaccine is recommended by PAHO or any other organization, Bahamians and residents are to be assured that the vaccines will be subject to all appropriate trials approved by notable agencies and will be available to Bahamians who wish to take the vaccine. I wish to emphasize that a COVID-19 vaccine will not be forced on anyone who does not wish to take it.
In other news, 3 Grand Bahama women were arraigned in the magistrate's court today on fraud-related charges. 32-year-old Shanika Coburn in the black jacket and 24-year-old Raven Mavis Thompson in the red jacket were arraigned before Deputy Chief Magistrate Debbie Ferguson on charges of possession of a false document, uttering a false document, fraud by false pretenses, and conspiracy to fraud by false pretenses. Both pleaded not guilty and bail was denied. Meanwhile, 32-year-old Cassinel Oliver of Settlers Way was charged with 2 counts of forgery, possession of a false document, and abetment to fraud by false pretenses. She too pleaded not guilty and was denied bail. They returned to court on February 15, 2021 for trial. Well, with public schools set to reopen virtually on Monday despite another case of COVID-19 exposure at a school, Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson is calling on the Ministry of Education to lay out its plan. Jillian Gray has more.
BUT President Belinda Wilson confirmed that R.M. Bailey is the latest school to be exposed to the COVID-19 virus. She called it irresponsible that the Ministry of Education has yet to lay out a specific protocol for COVID-19 in the schools.
So it seems as though the only language that the education officials understand is industrial action. I speak today not only as the president of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, but as a trained teacher. It is an indictment that after 6 months, there is so much confusion and uncertainty about the health and safety protocols for teachers and students. This is a formula for an outbreak and a spread of COVID-19 in our schools.
Wilson said R.M. Bailey and Anatole Rogers were both exposed to the virus this week, and 4 other schools have been exposed in recent weeks. According to Wilson, students who were sitting national exams at R.M. Bailey were sent to C.H. Reeves. She called that move concerning.
And they are suspected to have been exposed. So this is unacceptable because the virus is contagious. And the number of cases are growing daily, especially in New Providence. It is irresponsible of the Ministry of Education officials not to have a clear protocol in place. As the Bahamas Union of Teachers has been asking for the COVID-19 health and safety protocols for schools.
With schools set to open on Monday, Wilson called for the Minister of Education and Ministry of Education officials to meet with the union to agree on a COVID-19 plan.
I call upon the Minister of Education, the Permanent Secretary, the Director of Education to mature, invoke industrial goodwill. Let's get to the table to agree a workable plan, not only for how COVID-19 cases will be dealt with, but also the reopening of schools.
Attempts to reach Ministry of Education officials were unsuccessful up to news time. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
A 20-year-old street preacher has gotten a lot of social media attention after he was fined $250 for preaching on the sidewalk while not wearing a mask. Bertie McDermott has his story.
Still that He is God.
With his Bible in his right hand, 20-year-old Marion Hannah was ticketed and fined $250 this past Wednesday for not wearing a mask while preaching on the side of the road. This matter sparked outrage from residents who took to social media to express their displeasure. One resident said, "Wow, you gonna lock up a young man for preaching the gospel when there are so many of our young men who are wayward?" While this resident called it terrible. While Hannah says he believes it was God's will, he feels the officer's actions weren't right.
I think what the police officer did was very wrong because I was there alone, all by myself. No one was there, no one there with me, by myself preaching the gospel, so what he did was wrong.
The street preacher has garnered a lot of support. While speaking to Our News, residents passing could be heard shouting their support for the street preacher from their cars. As for the $250 fine, Hannah said a few good Samaritans have committed to paying the fine for him.
That made me feel good. That encouraged me. And that made me feel like people of death is with me, not against me. That I believe that they are more with me than against me.
The street preacher says he has been preaching at the intersection of Cowpen Road and Faith Avenue since he was 14 years old. Despite this setback, Hannah says he will continue preaching. He says his passion and drive for evangelism won't allow him to stop.
What keeps me here is God's word. Is God's word. Is God. Is my relationship with God. My passion, my desire, and my joy I have for God. That's what keeps me here.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
More news on the way, but here's a first look at weather with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Kyle. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Outside our studios, we have mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures are in the low 80s. 83 is our current temperature right now outside our studios. The winds out of the southeast at around 5 knots feels like temperature around 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Lots of showers outside our studios and across the northwest Bahamas as a frontal boundary is hanging up across the area, generating some showers and thunderstorms. Those thunderstorms will become strong to severe at times overnight, and of course those showers will be locally heavy. That is your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
All right, thanks, Greg. Still to come, how the Christian Council president feels about the direction the country's headed in. Plus, our Bailey Park vendors prep for back to school. Stay tuned.
Hey Rev customer, did you know that you can change and add multiple credit or debit cards to your online payment? Simply log into my.rev.bs, sign into your My account, click Pay Now, then enter your card details, and click Save to File. It's that simple. We are committed to providing you with excellent, reliable service no matter what. Stay connected with Rev, anywhere, anytime.
Bahamas Christian Council President Bishop Delton Fernandez says the country is headed in the wrong direction as he noted the number of horrific crimes taking place, in particular the double murder of a mother and her young daughter. Georgia Bain reports.
Fernandez said church leaders are now being trained to diffuse domestic violence issues. According to the Christian Council president, the church has received its fair share of criticism for not playing a more integral role in these cases. But according to Fernandez, it's a fallacy to believe that every pastor is trained to even handle these kinds of situations.
We are at a tipping point, an inflection point, I believe, in the way we deal with grievances and the way we deal with problems. It requires not just the ability to counsel, but the ability to deal with the specificities of the problems we're having today. And so as the church, we are preparing ourselves through new training through Dr. Basenti to try and prepare pastors, because we might not have had this amount of grief and domestic counseling that leads itself to violent nature before.
According to Fernandez, the church faces another obstacle, building trust within communities. Fernandez said it would be easier to assist with cases of domestic violence and conflict resolution if persons felt more comfortable turning to the church.
The truth of the matter is trust is based on relationship. If you don't have a relationship with the church, you'll never trust the church. Most times the cases that come to us are people who are familiar with the church and are comfortable with the church. Pure strangers don't call us. They don't just get on the phone and say, well, Bishop Fernandez, I'm going to share my heart. I'm going to share everything that's the malice, the hatred, the anger I have towards someone. There has to be, any counsel will tell you, there has to be a level of trust.
Fernandez said, as a society, we are failing to protect the most vulnerable, as 2 young children have been murdered this month, and called for everyone to do their part.
It is a blight on us that the vulnerable in our society we cannot protect. And if anything we should do is that evil prospers, but good people do nothing. I think it's now time to stop talking and start doing what we can to help. Sometimes the doing is a process. We just can't wait for the church, we can't wait for government. As societies, we must say enough is enough. And we are willing to stand up and protect the vulnerable in our society.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
After opening on Tuesday, back-to-school vendors stationed on Our Bailey Park say business has been slow. By this time, business would have been booming, according to President of the Our Bailey Park Association, Karen Brown. But she said she knows things are rough for many parents.
It's been slow, persons have been coming in asking for a few items, but with COVID, everything is slow now. And we realize that a lot of persons aren't working at the time, so, just trying to make the best of it.
There's nobody walking like that, but my main thing is that I am out here. After being locked down for March to now, I'm just happy to be out here.
Schools will reopen on Monday across the country. Brown said the last time vendors worked was February, and thus they too are facing hard times.
As vendors, we have bills to pay, we have children in school, so we are praying and hoping for the best. For some of us, this is the only job we have, so we are being hopeful and we are grateful.
Myself protected. Nobody come more than 6. Stay away from me 6 feet, and that's fine.
When Our News comes back from the break, Happy Foods 242 looking to brighten the mood this weekend. Stay tuned.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
Hoping to lighten the mood through food, the Our TV show Happy Foods 242 is all set to premiere its 13th season tomorrow night. After 12 seasons of taking viewers on a ride of culinary excitement throughout the Bahamas, the show's host Sasha Lightbourne says she's more excited now more than ever that they're able to help lighten the mood during a rough time this season.
I'm very excited because I think this season, more than any other season, will help. So much is going on in the world, so much is going on in our country, and people just need a breather. People need a break. I need a break. My team needs a break. Everyone probably needs a break. So I think this season, more than any other season, will probably be really important just in terms of all that's going on around us.
The season premiere airs tomorrow night at 7 right here on Our TV and features Mexicaba.
There are 10 episodes in every season. So 10 brand new episodes. One of those episodes actually includes the director's cut, which is not a show that I control. It's a show controlled by Kenny and Jay, who are part of the team. So people generally love that because they get to give their take on what was their favorite shows for the season. It's not a talking show. It's a lot of food. Every season is a lot of food, but it is a lot of food, and we just hope people patronize these businesses, go out to these businesses.
Still to come, the highlights from Thursday Night Football. Stay tuned.
Hey Rev customer, did you know that you can change and add multiple credit or debit cards to your online payment? Simply log into my.rev.bs, sign into your My account, click Pay Now, then enter your card details, and click Save to File. It's that simple. We are committed to providing you with excellent, reliable service no matter what. Stay connected with Rev, anywhere, anytime.
Thursday night football turned out to be a battle of the winless. Marcellus Hall has all the highlights.
Well, as Thursday night football kicked off week 4, the one thing we knew for sure is that one of the winless teams would get their first victory of the year. Well, how about the Jets and the Broncos doing battle to figure out just which one it would be? Thursday night football action, Broncos going up against the Jets. Both teams coming in looking for their first wins on the year. And how about the Denver Broncos riding a great performance from quarterback Brett Rippon, who threw for 2 touchdowns, did have 3 interceptions, but at the end of the day, Broncos outlasting the Jets here 37-28. For the second consecutive year, the Jets start the season with an 0-4 beginning. That's the worst in franchise history. Adam Gase may have his job on the line. Jets will now look for a win coming up next week. Doesn't get any easier for them as they go up against the Arizona Cardinals, and they've been pretty good this season. Meanwhile, the Broncos now 1-3 on the season, looking pretty solid moving forward, hoping to make this a more positive note. Meanwhile, week 4 does continue with a lot of games on the schedule starting at 1 o'clock this Sunday. Quick look at what's ahead. And with a full slate of games coming your way this weekend, we'll give you highlights and details coming up for you first thing on Monday. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marcellus Hall.
That's it for news. We turn it back over to meteorologist Greg Thompson for the extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Kyle. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your second look at weather. On our satellite, cold front across the northern Bahamas with a tropical system attached to that. Tropical depression number 25 in the western Caribbean will get its act together. The cold front will produce some showers across the northern Bahamas as it hangs across our area. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Winds will be east to southeast, 15 to 20 knots. Caution flag for you guys, 4 to 6 foot seas. While across the central and southeastern islands, an advisory posted, east to southeast winds, 15 to 20 knots, seas running 5 to 8. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Wednesday. That's a look at your weather. Make it a great night and a safe weekend, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. Remember, you can get your Our News on the go or the Rev Go Play app. Have a good Friday evening, Bahamas.